Quit keeping their head in the cloud and talking goofy language that no one else talks, or we got to be, nice to people. Screw that, run over them.
Political strategist James Carville is absolutely furious with Joe Biden, and he can't stop talking about it. He's furious with Biden, Kamala Harris, and the entirety of the Democratic Party. He wants winners, and when he looks at the Democratic Party right now, he sees losers. During an interview with Margaret Hoover, Carville did not pull any punches, slamming Biden for refusing to drop out of the race sooner and ripping the party for running unpopular candidates.
We ran a presidential election. If we were playing the Super Bowl, we started our 7th string quarterback. That's what happened. Okay, you can't address a problem unless you're honest about a problem. And none of this was inevitable. Never should have happened. It was not inevitable. Joe Biden stands over this disaster like a colossus. And he just does. You can't. He's a great guy. James, you shouldn't say that. He's a wonderful man. Who cares? If you don't win a damn election, you've done nothing. Zip, de nada. You don't count. I don't care how good a man you are. Until Democrats learn that and quit keeping their head in the cloud and talking goofy language that no one else talks, or we got to be, nice to people. Screw that, run over them.
For those as ignorant about football as I am, 7th string quarterback is bad. Cenk.
Yes, that would be the 7th person that you would put in if all other 6 are out. Look, I'm beginning to love James Carville. So historically, we've been on slightly different sides of the political spectrum within the Democratic Party. He's been more on the establishment side. I've been more on the populist side. But one thing I've always respected about James Carville, and definitely throughout this election, was that he doesn't pull any punches and he loves to win. He's obsessed with winning. Great, wonderful. We need people who are obsessed with winning on our side. Because if you don't win the election, then you don't get to do policy. And the only thing that matters is policy, because that affects your life. Everything else is just ego games, okay? So, and he's speaking truth to power here. Now, remember, if you're on the establishment side, as Carville has been for a long time, normally you protect your sacred cows, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. And he's done with that. And that's why I say I'm beginning to love James Carville. So calling Kamala Harris 7th string quarterback, I've never seen that, ever. Normally after an election, they're like, oh no, Kamala Harris ran a perfect campaign. Well, they did do that on MSNBC, okay? Flawless campaign. How do you run a flawless campaign and lose? Anyway, so he's not pulling any punches when it comes to establishment candidates, and that is kind of revolutionary. He's saying go populist.
Yeah.
I don't know if he believes it, but that's huge.
Don't step on his lines.
Okay, all right, so we'll get to it in a sec. Then, he took Biden's head off there.
Yeah, he did.
And this is not Johnny come lately, because he was one of the rare guys who's trying to push Biden out when we all started trying to push Biden out. He came a little bit after Young Turks, but I'll take it, and he was one of the early ones. And it's important for guys that are respected in the establishment. They're like, oh, Young Turks, they're outsiders, Bernie people, right? But for when Carville says it, they're like, oh wait, Carville won a national election.
I don't know. Look, they're still inviting him to be part of these discussions and these debates, and he's still out there saying what he wants to say. But my experience has been Democratic Party doesn't take kindly to critics and typically pushes them out. So I don't know if they still respect him.
See, no, here's the thing, Anna. There's now not just that there is no one leader, which everybody's lamenting. I'm ecstatic. I don't want an anointed leader who comes in and pushes people like Carville out. But not only do they not have a leader anymore, because Kamala Harris is like, doing word salads at home. Biden has dementia. There's nobody in charge. Jeffries is super weak. Chuck Schumer's 98 years old. So I like that they are actually missing the entire leadership, because then there's no one to cancel people like Carville, right? There's no one to say, hey, I'm gonna push out everyone who disagrees. I'm going to anoint, etc. So, and in that vacuum, we can push folks to pick a populist leader instead of the same old establishment leaders.
Yep.
So that's why I like that suggestion. I want to come back to the nonsense words that he talked about in a second, and then if you're on the left, you might not like what I have to say about that. But Anna, go ahead.
Well, okay, so he obviously has a lot of criticism for the Democratic Party, for Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, but does James Carville have any solutions? Well, he did offer some up. Let's take a look.
First of all, she got Joe Biden's campaign. That's it. They got the keys. They had the same managers, same strategists, same headquarters, same artwork, same computer system, same bathroom. That is not good. You don't even have your own people. Then you can't have lobbyists running presidential campaigns. So they said we can't run on a minimum wage. Minimum wage hadn't been raised since 2009. It's $7.25. We couldn't say we're gonna do away with tax breaks for people who make over $400,000 and take that money and help young people buy a house or get an education or rent a house, because we were all conflicted. And people say, you think you should move to the left? You think you should move to the right? Move to, like, giving people a raise. What is that? That's what people want. Give them something. We refuse to do that. We sit there and we tell people how good the economy is. Meanwhile, you got these kids here paying, $300,000 for an education. And I got these assholes in Washington tell me how good I have it.
Stop allowing the lobbyists to run the Democratic Party.
Yes.
Yummy in my tummy. He continued on to call for Democrats to run on raising wages, making healthcare affordable, promoting vocational schooling, trade schools, and improving public transportation, which would, require ensuring that people are safe on public transportation as well, rather than identitarianism. And he argued that Democrats need to stop speaking to people as if they're morally and intellectually superior.
Ding, 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 ding. Exactly right.
Okay, so there's a video that I'm gonna get to on the culture war stuff because he elaborates on that, but go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, so look, I love everything he's saying. So lobbyists running the campaign, are you nuts? Are you nuts? So thank God for James Carville saying these things. And what did we say when Kamala Harris took over the Biden team? You remember? We said, why is she keeping the Biden team? The Biden team's an epic disaster. It's a runaway freight train of idiocy. And so change the team. So Carville agrees. It's amazing what happens when both us and Carville want to win. We come to the same conclusions, right? And then my favorite, of course, was actually deliver. Give them something. Give them something. Give them higher wages. Give them paid family leave. Couldn't agree more. Again, I'll leave the words comment in a second.
Okay, so this next clip that you're gonna see, it features Mike Murphy. He's the Republican campaign strategist on the panel with Carville. He agrees that Democrats should go in the direction of populism and made a big admission about his party's strategy of harping on culture war issues. This is important. Take a look at this.
Can an economically focused center-left populism, Mike, compete with the culture war driven right-wing populism?
Yeah, I mean, rule one for the Democrats is the culture war stuff is bait. The Trump guys love a DEI fight. Are you kidding? It's what? We don't have enough transsexuals in the Marine Corps? By the way, I'm fine with all the DEI stuff. But in politics, when you pick the right fight, you're winning. And the Dems always go for the bait.
Cenk?
What did I say for 2 years straight, right? Don't go for the bait. Stop falling into their traps.
You must be right wing. You must be a right winger.
Yeah, or those guys have won presidential elections as the top advisors to their candidates. So maybe, and by the way, who's the other guy who kept saying similar stuff before the election about how Biden had to drop out, this was the wrong strategy, was David Axelrod, the other guy who has won a national presidential election, right? So this is nonsense. Stop falling for the bait of fighting on losing ground, the most extreme ground there is. And I've asked now, the people that love to do that on the far left, I've asked them 100 times, if you do it again, why do you think you'll get a different result? Like, how is doubling down on that strategy going to help us when it got us annihilated this time? And they say, oh, no, we're denying reality. That's not why we lost. Okay, why did, okay, what's your theory? What's your theory on doubling down on deeply unpopular positions and how that somehow magically leads to a win? Okay, so lastly, if they weren't mad enough about that, wait till you get a load of this. Stop using words that only people in politics and academia use, okay? So you know the famous example, we've been over it a million times, Latinx. No one believed that, no Latino has ever said that in their entire lives. And I came out against it instantly because apparently, unlike other people on the left, I know Latinos. And I've never seen anyone say Latinx, okay? Have you ever been to East LA? I mean, you guys sound so out of touch and elitist, constantly looking down your nose of it. You're morally inferior to me because I say Latinx and you say Latino and Latina. You mean like every Latino and Latina in the country? Okay, but I'll go further so you can get even angrier. Cisgender. No non-political person says that. I've never seen it. Go to a barbecue in the middle of the country and say cisgender, and they'll look at you like, okay, you can say it, I get it, I know what the word is.
We need to pour one out for Cenk's mentions. RIP Cenk's mentions.
Okay, yeah, God bless. We can say, hey, brother, no, it's a free country. You can say anything you like, okay? But you're not gonna win over voters by going and telling them about cisgender folks. Okay, go ahead, but do it, and but you're smarter than them. You know words, so they'll respect you because you're acting morally superior to them and intellectually superior to them. Go ahead, see how you like it.
All right, let's give you one more clip because despite everything that was just said in regard to the identitarianism, taking the culture war bait and how that hasn't worked out for the Democratic Party, you know, during a forum, a leadership forum with the various contenders who wanted to run as DNC chair, a question was asked about the past election. You know, the past election in which Kamala Harris lost, Donald Trump won the popular vote, swept the battleground states. And the fact that that question was asked was interesting enough. The reaction to the question was even more interesting. Take a look.
I have a show of hands. How many of you believe that racism and misogyny played a role in Vice President Harris's defeat? Okay. So that's good, you all pass.
So I think that the problem with that whole interaction isn't that, racism and misogyny didn't play a role at all. It probably played a little role, right? But it's putting your head in the sand and refusing to take ownership of the mistakes made in this past presidential election, because there are other factors that played a much bigger role in the reason why Kamala Harris lost.
Yeah.
So
look, I get it. It played some role. Again, as I said earlier in the show, I don't mind them raising their hand. I hate the question because the question sets them up for the entire Democratic Party looking like being sore losers and saying
and blaming the voters.
Yeah, it wasn't our fault that we lost. It wasn't that we picked the 7th string quarterback. It wasn't that Biden's brain fell out and we all pretended he was young and dynamic. It was the racist and sexist voters. So, hey, voters, we're gonna win you over by yelling at you and calling you names. If you weren't so racist and sexist, you would have voted for us. World's worst strategy. So anyone who does that is basically saying, I'd love to help Republicans win. How can I help Trump win? How can I help JD Vance win? Republicans, I'm here to help. I'm your far left enabler. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.